I think it was the first time that Peter was at home for a long time during lockdown, actually. That's the answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So I work and I travel also. Because sometimes certain things needs to be sometimes even out of the country, right? But I don't know, and maybe it's too early. We if you think about how Sundowns has gone for the past 7 years, they basically, on average, I would say, have been playing every 3 days, right?
Yeah.
And in the every 3 days, it's because they go far with cups, and then they go far with Champions League, and then they've got the league. So, and every time they are playing, they will then be on camp the day before, depending where they are. It might be 3 days because they're in Durban playing at night, then it's the camp, the day game, and then they come. So Pito right now for us really, we haven't felt the difference really, to be honest, because that has been really our life. I think the difference is that somebody is, or think about it also, if they're playing out of the country, then it becomes even a much longer period. If they are in camp pre-season, it becomes a longer period. So I don't think we're really feeling much of a difference. We did feel it when we were on lockdown altogether because of the first time, yeah. So no, I think for us it's still fine. I went there with them because I had to go with them as the agent. I'm going again for the final. So to think about it, it's not. My kids are writing exams now, and then December will decide, whether we go there for the whole of the holidays or how we split it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right.
You know what happened? I mean, to your question, when they went into the Sundowns bubble, I mean, plus the PSL bubble, it was almost 2 months, 2.5 months they were in the bubble. Yeah, so the negotiations with Al Ahly have not gone well. It did not go for months. No, they actually lasted, believe it or not. Yeah, less than a week. Yeah. The last,
So,
the last.
what was that initial contact? Was it a phone call? These guys called?
Yeah, they called me. But what happened is so what is important is what is it that we're doing at MT Sports? We manage athletes, right? And to a certain extent, I had consciously decided not necessarily to focus on players, which now we have started. It's quite interesting how many now are wanting or are signing with us. But don't ask me who yet. Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll give you another interview when I've got the right group.
Okay, we'll have that exclusive.
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
So what we do and how we want to differentiate ourselves, from other companies is that while we manage athletes, and when I say athletes, I'm not necessarily only talking about soccer players. We've got also elite runners who want us to help them. We've got, I've got actually a guy who wants to turn pro, which is really not my space yet because we wanted to go more when you are pro. But in this one, I think it would be quite an interesting journey for the next 4 years to see that growth. We have also Coach Pizzo managing him, and one of the key things that we're doing is building his brand, properly positioning it, not as Pizzo the coach, but as Pizzo Musimani, full stop, right? So in doing that, we've got few projects that we're doing for him. We've got books that are on the go. We've got a documentary that is on the go. We've got one of the key big things that he says he wants to leave is to create what he terms a player of tomorrow in South Africa. We've done huge researches about why successful athletes are successful or successful countries are successful. And this is where I bring partners with the right skill sets to help with that. And just on a high level, if you think about your Serena Williams, if you think about Tiger Woods, if you look at the All Blacks, I'm not talking soccer, by the way, right? And we can talk about soccer, how all those countries or individuals have been successful. The basic rule is starting from a very young age. You can't wake up tomorrow at 15 and say, I want to teach how to be a soccer player. And with Peter's experience in soccer, he's understood that we are also not reaching the highest level because we're not starting early enough. So we are creating Pitso Musimane Soccer Schools. That's one of the big projects in MT Sports now, where we're starting with a child of 6 years, and we know that process will take us forever. So I did go, so how do you get to understand why other countries are successful? And in the African continent, before one even goes to see how Barcelona does it, for me it was important to understand how the North Africans do it. So I did engage with them. I went there in January to just try and understand how they do their youth development. And I think that's how also the contact started with them and me in particular. But obviously there's no question that Peter himself has put his own mark in the North African teams because they were having a free ride, right? So the call came. I mean, the question could be, how did they call you? Because I had been in contact. I went to do this research about the schools which is coming. And the call came. Peter, I don't know, he's a very loyal person. I think what he wants to see through, which, I mean, it's contradicting what has happened now, is what he wanted to see through is the completion of what he really started with Sundowns and with his contract. And I think importantly, the president did ask him that he really wanted to get the La Decima on the 50th, and that was really his push to what he wanted to do. And obviously COVID happened, and it just threw everything upside down. So the offers were there, and the offers that came to me, and but he was not interested. Not interested because, it really sometimes just shows you the nature of the person he is. That obviously, when you compare the monies, it would be different. It would be much better. But he was not interested. I mean, I got frustrated sometimes myself as the agent. I don't really want to talk more from a family point of view, but he was not interested because he still had sort of a race to finish at Sundowns. You've won a treble, you've won 5 times, you've won the Champions League, you've helped with the La Decima, contributed. What else? 7 years. That's right. So for me, I just think this came at the right time. I always said to him, as you know, his agent, his wife, and we are also advisors to each other.
Yes.
That I just believe that you always also in life have to live at your highest, because how life and everything is, it's you go up and down. So when you're at the peak and another opportunity comes and another challenge comes, you take it. People can look at us and say, what a bad decision. Why? Because the North Africans or the teams there, people don't last, really. I mean, Mitchell left, I don't know how many months later he was gone. And you know, that's the risk that as a family we're willing to take, because it was a new challenge to just put him in at another level. Because I think, true, Pitso has broken so many records. You know, at some point we thought we can do and document every time they say it's broken what record we haven't been able to keep up. And how about going again, you know, breaking the envelope? And that's really why we took this job. I think, in my view, if you ask me my view, I felt he had done everything he had to do. And a new challenge, which is very risky, by the way. And we know that.
Sure.
We know that some people are happy. We know that some people are waiting for us to fail. But how do you fail if you don't try? Yeah, and the president, I think if you listen to even what he said at the press conference when they were signing the contract, he said if anybody gets, I mean, he says it all the time, gets better offers somewhere else, he will release them. Yeah, and I think he's a man of his word, really. Yeah, and yeah, I know people want to read about all sorts of things. There's no story for me. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, Pitso had reached he had achieved, in my view, what he set out. What else? Okay, I guess what else would have been the second star for Sundowns, I guess. We're grateful that Sundowns signed with Pitso, and really the intention was never that he was not going to finish the 4 years. That's a very big club. I think they've got 70 million supporters. It's a big club. I know it's big. I mean, it's big. It was overwhelming, but I think Pitso deserves that. Yeah, I think he's worked hard enough. He deserves that. And I think it's not only about, you know, arriving for a rock star, reception. It's about being there and also being impactful in the few weeks that he's been there. And that is really what he wants and what we want. Yeah, regardless of what happens when what happens. I mean, we had a 4-year contract at Sundowns, we signed a 2-year contract. We know tomorrow anything can happen, but Peter's always said a contract is a contract. You know, even when you've got a contract, you can be taken out. And his main aim really is just to perform and do his best. You know, in anything that one does, if you are alone, it's a challenge. But if you've got a team of people with you, and remember Musi and KB, they've been with him for years. I mean, Kevin is new in the team. But they are actually, they are coping. They really are, they're busy also, you know, because remember, they're also trying to understand who are the players. So they're quite busy. They're really coping. I mean, I've never heard him complain. He's just, sometimes you call and then he doesn't answer. He says, phew, I fell asleep thinking I'm watching TV. So they're quite busy. So he's coping. He's quite happy. He's quite happy. And I think he's quite happy also with how the team is reacting to what he's putting in place. So no, he's coping. It's not like you know what is quite interesting though is, you know, I realized when I was there that at the end of the day we are Africans. You know, it can be that we are talking, we use different languages, which was so interesting because sometimes I would go alone and you find people who don't understand English. And I will just roll it with my Tswana and they roll it with the Arabic and we get each other. It's so interesting how how language is, right? But we'll get it. I'll get what I want in the end. Because I'm thinking, why must I go English? Let me just express myself and we do. So what I found is the culture, while people might think it's different, we are Africans, right? We are Africans actually. It's really the same.